As you and I know, Patrick, one of the things that drives real estate, and it's the Rain way of investing in real estate, is the economic fundamentals, meaning the economic activity, what's happening in the economy of that region. That's what drives real estate. So, as part of this show and every other show we do and every speech we give, we always talk about the economy because the economy is the driving force of real estate, not interest rates. Those are influencers, but it's the economy that really matters. And one of the things we're seeing, Patrick, right now, we got this great chart to show, is the shortage of workers and really the job vacancies that are still very, very elevated, Patrick, way above kind of our average here in Canada, where on average, we're typically about 550,000 vacant jobs. We're still now, even though it's come down a little bit, we're still, I think, over 850,000 vacant jobs, meaning there's still this massive shortage of workers. Now, I think there's a solution to this, which is artificial intelligence, robotics. We're going to talk more about this later. But what are your thoughts on the shortages of workers, and what does it say about the economy today?
Well, this goes back to the conversations and that some of the like an Oxford Economics or even OSFI or other organizations, like some of the big players are going, we have to be concerned about a recession. I think some of that is saber rattling because when you talk that way, people actually keep their hands in their pocket, which then brings inflation down. So there is a psychological, there's a method to the madness is what I'm trying to say. But when we look at workers and the shortages and the employment, the thing is that as long as people are working, I've said it before, they always figure out a way. Now, there is a portion of the population in that kind of lower income that are at the effect of those rising prices. Beyond that, most people are feeling uncomfortable. They're feeling a bit pissed off about it, but it doesn't affect their buying decisions. So the fact is that to have an economic slowdown that's really going to affect real estate, we have to see those unemployment numbers start to come up. Bank of Canada, Tiff Macklem, he's actually saying we need to see a higher unemployment number to slow the economy down. But there's another side to that economically, which is that even with a low unemployment, what we start to see is as costs rise, people do spend less money. That, in fact, will slow the economy down. So as much as Tiff is saying that, on the other side, it's also saying, I'm going to pause raising interest rates to see how this all unfolds. And so I think that's still a good move, by the way, lowering interest rates. But the employment side of it or the unemployment side of it just speaks to a healthy economy, regardless of the fact that we're dealing with rising costs in some kind of industry, some regions.
And I think, if you look at the graph, you'll see that these job vacancies have come down. They were above, I'd have to pull up the graph here in front of me, but I think they were above 900,000 for some time. And now they come down about 850, maybe even higher than 900,000. My point is this, I think a lot of that has come down, not because those jobs have been filled, but only because actually those jobs have been taken off the market. Therefore, job vacancies came down because of the impending recession and people being scared. Business owners, you and I are both business owners, Patrick. We face those fears too. And instead of hiring 6 people, we hire 2. Instead of hiring 2 people, we decide, let's just wait. Let's just give it a little bit. Let's wait until next year to hire someone. So we actually decrease our own job openings in order to reflect the future of the economy. That's why I think job vacancies are coming down, not because they're being filled. And it's interesting because I wonder if my point and where I'm going with this is I wonder if this is a new baseline level of job vacancies in that are not our normal 550,000, but more like 850,000, which is a ton of job vacancies. So anyone that's out there looking for a job, there's jobs to be had. That's for damn sure.
Let's put it this way. There's lots of conversation right now. What is the data that you can trust? When we look at that unemployment number, people are breaking it down going, okay, but how many of those are part-time jobs? How many of those are public service jobs as opposed to private? How many people are now working 2 jobs because they can't afford just to exist on one job? So there's lots of kind of nuances that are being brought to the forefront in terms of the unemployment numbers. And of course, we have to take them for face value. If StatsCan is publishing those numbers or the Bank of Canada or whoever's coming out to those numbers, we have to take them for face value. Although in behind the thing, there is some question around it. And we've seen that, and we've said this before, is, they anticipate a job growth of, let's say, 10,000, and it's like 110,000. And it's hard to believe that whoever's compiling, well, it's a number of economists that are actually saying it's going to be 10,000. So when it's 110,000, you go, okay, how can 20 economists or how can the Bank of Canada or how can StatsCan, how can they miss by that much? It seems almost irresponsible, and it almost seems like, Are you really doing your job? So that's not it's just to shine a light on some of the data. It's hard to really be confident in.
I think I want to be an economist in my next life, Patrick. I mean, you could be wrong 99% of the time and still be a hero. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. No consequences.
No consequence. It's all good. But interesting. You're talking about economists being wrong, and from that perspective. But the jobs report that came out last Friday in the U.S. was quite the surprising upside as well. Not quite as surprising as the recent Canadian jobs report, but almost. I think they were expecting like 118,000 jobs, and they got like 517,000 jobs or something like. I mean, 5x more. Whereas Canada was expecting like 10,000 jobs, they got 120,000 jobs, or whatever the actual number were, like a 10x difference. So the point is that on both sides of the border right now, it's a bit of chaos from that perspective.
Well, I think there's a couple things, right, that it shines the light on. Number one, it's why we have a research team. It's why we support our community, why we keep doing the research. And it's so important to understand that from a real estate investor's point of view, is that you have to rely on the research that we're doing, and because we're relying on it, we're real estate investors, and understanding that it is an ongoing kind of view of what's happening economically. We have to stay on top of it, knowing that numbers can change, and we have to also see the future and go, okay, given what's happening, we're going to make different decisions, whatever those decisions might be.
Yeah, very, very good point, Patrick. Okay, shortages of workers, fear of a recession coming to a close. I got one final question before I throw this at the screen, and that is this. In the back half of 2022, Patrick, there's a lot of noise about a fear of recession. I mean, of the noise on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm just going to give my own anecdotal. I think the noise in my world was probably an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10, okay? Noise level. Where do you think the noise level is at now? Has it calmed down? From my perspective, it seems to have calmed down. I'm not hearing it nearly as much from the average person or even from the media. I think it's gone down from an 8.5 down to maybe a 7. What do you think?
Well, I don't think anything's changed. I mean, at the end of the day, I think people keep looking at the same headlines, or they keep looking at the same, view of the world. And after a while, there's nothing more to talk about. They're understanding that, there's all sorts of views of an economy. We have to listen to a lot of different views. And, at some point, everybody goes, okay, I've heard enough about recession. We'll just have to wait and see. It's either going to be or it's not going to be. We look at it slightly different, saying we're going to keep looking to stay ahead of what we see. Right now, we don't see a big crash. That's not to say, given the economic kind of conditions of the world, that it won't happen. But right now, it's just not happening.
You're such a poet, Patrick. To be or not to be? That is the question.
If you're interested in learning about investing in real estate the right way, look at our Real Estate Investing in Canada program. 15 steps to successfully investing in real estate. Thousands of real estate investors have learned the right way to invest in real estate following those 15 steps. You're absolutely going to love that program. Take a look, click on the link in the description below.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe. And if you've enjoyed this, please share it with someone that you know, because it's going to be incredibly valuable to them. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so please comment below. If you want to see more stuff like this, click here. If you want to see the entire show, click there.